The Sentinel's Defiance. The void-borne transport vessel Starlight Wanderer drifted helplessly amid the cold silence of the Cygnus Rift. Its engines sputtered weakly, barely maintaining life support for the 300 refugees huddled within its crowded holds. On the bridge, First Navigator Talon's luminescent skin had dimmed from bright azure to a sickly pale blue, reflecting the desperation that had taken hold since the hegemony warships had appeared on their sensors. "They're taking position around us," Second Navigator Vera whispered, her slender fingers trembling as she gestured at the tactical display. 5 hegemony Ravagers in attack formation. "They're toying with us." Outside, the massive hunter ships loomed like predatory beasts, their hulls adorned with the red and black insignia of the galactic hegemony. Each vessel bristled with enough firepower to reduce the Starlight Wanderer to atoms in seconds. Yet they waited, savoring the fear of their prey. "Why don't they just end it?" young engineer Kairos asked, barely past his maturation cycle, his voice cracking. "We're not warriors. We're just people." Talon placed a 4-fingered hand on Kairos' shoulder. "Because they want an audience. The hegemony doesn't just eliminate threats. They make examples." The Voidborn had committed no crime beyond existing. Their species' ability to harness natural energy fields had made them targets of the hegemony's paranoia. Labeled as evolutionary deviants, they had been systematically hunted across 3 sectors, their colonies destroyed, their pleas for asylum rejected by species too frightened of hegemony reprisal. The main communication array sparked to life, and the holographic form of Admiral Drex materialized on the bridge. His reptilian features twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. "Voidborn vessel," he hissed, "you have violated hegemony space and harbored genetic abnormalities deemed dangerous to galactic security. Surrender now for processing, or be cleansed from existence." Processing, a euphemism for the labor camps where Voidborn were worked to death extracting rare minerals their bodies naturally absorbed. Talon straightened his spine, determined to face death with dignity at least. "We are refugees seeking sanctuary," he replied. "We carry no weapons, no threat. There are children aboard. Your reproduction of abominations is precisely the threat." Drex interrupted. "You have 30 seconds to power down all systems. After that, we begin hull breach procedures." The transmission cut. Talon looked at his crew, at the faces of his people visible on monitors throughout the ship. Some wept. Others held each other. A few prayed to the void spirits. None expected salvation. 20 seconds. Vera counted down, her voice hollow. Suddenly, a new alert blared across the sensor array. Vera gasped, adjusting the instruments in disbelief. "New contact. Coming in fast from the Mendari Nebula. It's small. Too small to be a warship." Talon rushed to her station. "Hegemony reinforcements." "No," she whispered. "The signature is, I've never seen anything like it." On the tactical display, a single vessel streaked toward their position at impossible speed, its propulsion signature unlike anything in their database. It was perhaps 1/10 the size of a hegemony Ravager, with sleek lines and an irregular silhouette that seemed to shimmer even on their sensors. Admiral Drex's voice returned, now addressing the newcomer. "Unidentified vessel, this is a hegemony-restricted operation. Withdraw immediately or face destruction." For several heartbeats, silence reigned. Then a new voice cut through the comm system. Human, female, and utterly unconcerned. "This is Captain Ilara Reeves of the independent vessel Stormbreaker. I've got a better idea, Admiral. How about you take your oversized garbage SCOs and get the hell out of my shipping lane?" Talon and Vera exchanged glances of shocked disbelief. Humans were hegemony allies, had been since they'd signed the Proxima Accords 50 cycles ago. No human interfered with hegemony operations. Drex's response came with predictable fury. "Human, your species' protection under the Accords does not extend to obstructing hegemony justice. Withdraw now or..." Yeah. Withdraw or die." Very original. The human's tone was almost bored. Here's what's going to happen instead. You're going to back away from the Voidborn ship, return to whatever miserable outpost you crawled from, and report that they got away. Otherwise, I start shooting, and trust me, you won't like what happens next. One of Drex's officers visibly leaned toward him on the holographic display. Admiral, scans confirm it's a single small vessel, but there are anomalies in the readings. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Drex straightened, reptilian eyes narrowing. 1 human ship against 5 Ravagers. Your species' arrogance truly knows no bounds. Commence firing. The lead Ravager's forward cannons flared to life, unleashing streams of plasma fire toward the tiny human vessel. On the Starlight Wanderer's bridge, the Voidborn watched in horrified fascination, certain they were about to witness the humans' obliteration. What happened instead defied explanation. The Stormbreaker moved like no ship they had ever seen, executing turns and accelerations that should have liquefied any organic pilot. The plasma bursts that should have annihilated it instead passed through empty space as the human vessel seemed to anticipate each shot before it was fired. Impossible, Kairos whispered. No ship can move like that. Then the Stormbreaker counterattacked. From the small vessel erupted weapons fire of such intensity and precision that the first Ravager's shields collapsed within seconds. The human didn't target the ship's core or bridge. Instead, precision strikes disabled its weapon systems and engines, leaving it dead in space but intact. "What is she doing?" Vera asked. "Why not destroy it?" Talon's eyes widened in understanding. "She's not a killer. She's neutralizing threats without unnecessary casualties." The remaining Ravagers broke formation, suddenly scrambling to coordinate against this unexpected threat. Their movements betrayed confusion, their tactical systems designed for conventional warfare against predictable enemies, not whatever the human was bringing to bear. Inside the Stormbreaker's cockpit, Captain Ilara Reeves sat surrounded by a neural interface that responded to her thoughts faster than physical controls ever could. Holographic displays flickered around her, tracking each hegemony vessel's vulnerabilities. She wasn't just flying her ship, she was merged with it, an extension of her consciousness. 4 to go, she muttered, more to herself than the Voidborn who could hear her through the still-open communication channel. "Come on, you overgrown lizards. Show me something interesting." 2 Ravagers attempted to flank her, coordinating their fire patterns to create an inescapable field of destruction. Ilara smiled grimly as her neural implants calculated trajectories faster than organic brains ever could. The Stormbreaker plunged directly between the converging fire patterns, causing the Ravagers to hit each other's shields. "Amateurs," she scoffed. The Stormbreaker's primary weapons, railguns accelerating projectiles to near-relativistic speeds, punched through the weakened shields of the second Ravager. Again, she targeted weapons, engines, and sensors with surgical precision, leaving the ship floating helplessly. Admiral Drex was now visibly unsettled on the holographic display. "All vessels, concentrate fire. I want that human ship atomized." The 3 remaining Ravagers formed a triangular formation, their combined firepower creating a storm of destruction that filled the space around the Stormbreaker. For several moments, the human vessel disappeared from sensors entirely, obscured by the energy discharges. On the Starlight Wanderer, Talon's crew watched in tense silence, certain their unlikely defender had finally met her end. Then, impossibly, the Stormbreaker emerged from the maelstrom, trailing wisps of ionized particles, but fundamentally intact. Its hull glowed with absorbed energy, which seemed to pulse through circuit-like patterns across its surface. "That the best you've got?" Ilara's voice taunted. "Because I'm just warming up." The Stormbreaker suddenly accelerated to attack velocity, but instead of targeting another Ravager, it shot past them on a direct course for the Starlight Wanderer. Before anyone could react, a tractor beam locked onto the refugee vessel. "Voidborn ship, I'm establishing a shield perimeter around you," Ilara announced, "rerouting emergency power to your life support and engines. Hang tight." This gets bumpy. Through their viewport, the Voidborn crew watched in awe as the human ship, impossibly small compared to their transport, positioned itself between them and the hegemony vessels. Energy fields expanded from the Stormbreaker, enveloping the Starlight Wanderer in a protective cocoon. "She can't possibly shield us with a vessel that size," Vera protested. "The power requirements would be—" The ship's systems suddenly surged with renewed energy. Dead consoles flickered back to life. Emergency lighting brightened. Even the air circulators began functioning at full capacity. Young Kairos stared at his engineering displays in disbelief. "She's channeling power to us somehow. But how is she generating this much?" On the tactical display, the remaining hegemony vessels regrouped for another assault. Admiral Drex's face contorted with rage. "This is your final warning, human. The Accords won't protect a traitor to your species." Ilara's laugh was cold and sharp. "Bold of you to assume I care about the Accords. You want to know something interesting about humans, Admiral? We're really good at holding grudges." Without warning, the Stormbreaker unleashed a barrage unlike anything before. Not plasma or projectiles, but pulses of condensed energy that bypassed shields entirely, targeting the Ravager's command and control systems with terrifying accuracy. 2 more vessels went dark, their systems overloaded. Only Admiral Drex's flagship remained operational, and even it showed signs of severe damage. Its weapons still functioned, however, and it unleashed everything in its arsenal. Not at the Stormbreaker, but at the defenseless Voidborn transport. "If I can't have them, neither will you," Drex snarled. The torrent of destructive energy crashed against the shield Ilara had extended around the Starlight Wanderer. For a moment, it seemed to hold. Then fluctuations appeared in the protective field. "Shield capacity at 60%, came Ilara's strained voice. 40%, 30. "We need to run," Vera cried. "While we have power." Talon shook his head. "We'll never outpace them, even damage." 20%, Ilara continued, diverting all non-essential systems. The Stormbreaker suddenly broke position, rocketing directly toward the Admiral's vessel in what appeared to be a suicide run. The hegemony ship redirected its fire toward the human, but too late. The Stormbreaker didn't impact the Ravager. Instead, it executed a maneuver that defied physics, seeming to phase partially through the larger vessel's shields. As it passed through, it released a cascade of energy directly into the Ravager's power core. Systems failed across the hegemony vessel. Weapons went dark. Engines died. Even life support flickered as emergency backups engaged. On the bridge of the Starlight Wanderer, the Voidborn watched in stunned silence as the Stormbreaker returned to their position, its hull glowing with residual energy, but still intact. "Threat neutralized," Ilara announced, her voice now tinged with weariness. "Their backup systems will have them mobile again in about 30 minutes, so we should be well away by then." Talon finally found his voice. "Why? Why would you help us? Humans are hegemony allies." There was a pause before Ilara replied, her tone softer now. "Some humans are. Others remember what it was like to be hunted for being different, to be called dangerous just for existing." A new holographic transmission appeared on the Starlight Wanderer's bridge, not the intimidating reptilian features of Admiral Drex, but the face of a human woman. Ilara Reeves appeared to be in her late 30s by human standards, with dark hair pulled back from a face marked by both strength and sorrow. Most striking were her eyes, one natural brown, the other a luminescent blue that pulsed with the same energy that had coursed through her ship. "Not all humans signed those accords," she continued. "Some of us have been fighting the hegemony from the shadows for years. And today, the shadows just got a little bit lighter." Young Kairos stepped forward, awe replacing fear on his features. You're the Sentinel." From the Resistance Stories, a small smile tugged at Ilara's lips. "Some call me that. Others call me traitor, renegade, terrorist. Depends which side of the hegemony's guns you're standing on." "Where will you take us?" Talon asked. "Somewhere safe, a hidden colony on the edge of uncharted space. You'll find other Voidborn there, survivors like yourselves." Vera's luminescence brightened with sudden hope. "Our people. There are more of us. More than the hegemony knows," Ilara confirmed, "and growing stronger every day." As the Stormbreaker established a secure tow link with the refugee vessel, preparing to escort them to safety, Admiral Drex's damaged flagship drifted silently. Inside its bridge, the Admiral gazed out at the retreating vessels, burning with humiliation and rage. "Track them," he ordered his surviving officers. "I want to know where they're going. The human resistance has been a thorn in our side for too long. And this one," he gestured at the sensor readings of the Stormbreaker. "This one is different. Find out everything about Captain Ilara Reeves." The hunt was just beginning, and the fire that had been ignited today would soon spread across the stars. Fire from the stars. 3 days into their journey through uncharted space, the Voidborn refugees had begun to believe in hope again. The Starlight Wanderer followed in the wake of the Stormbreaker, its damaged systems partially repaired thanks to technology Ilara had shared. In the makeshift common area of the transport, children played for the first time in months without fear, their skin glowing with vibrant colors that reflected their improving spirits. Talon found Ilara in the engineering section, her hands deep inside an open panel as she reconfigured power distribution systems. Despite being smaller than most Voidborn, something about her presence filled the space. Perhaps it was the focused intensity in her eyes, especially that strange luminescent blue one, or the confident precision of her movements. "The children have started calling you the Fire Walker," Talon said, offering her a container of synthesized nutrients compatible with human physiology. "It's an old Voidborn legend about a guardian spirit who walks through flames to protect the innocent." Ilara accepted the food with a nod of thanks. "I've been called worse." "You still haven't told us how you found us, or why you risk yourself for strangers." She wiped her hands on her utility belt and fixed him with a steady gaze. "Your distress signal was encoded on a frequency the hegemony doesn't monitor. A frequency my ship is specifically designed to detect. You were looking for us. I was looking for anyone the hegemony was hunting." She took a breath, seeming to decide how much to reveal. 5 years ago, I was a hegemony tactical officer, one of their best. I believed the propaganda, that we were maintaining order across the galaxy, protecting civilization from dangerous elements. She rolled up her sleeve, revealing an arm covered in intricate circuitry patterns embedded directly into her skin. Not tattoos, actual technology integrated with her flesh. Then I was selected for Project Vanguard, a classified program to create enhanced human operatives with integrated tech. Neural implants, bioengineered reflexes, direct interfaces with our ship's systems. We became weapons, the ultimate hunters. Talon's luminescence dimmed slightly. "You hunted my kind. Worse, I helped design the protocols that made the hunting more efficient." Shame flashed across her features. "Until I met a Voidborn child in a processing camp, a girl no older than Kairos. She touched my hand, and somehow, I felt everything she felt. All the fear, the pain, the bewilderment at being treated like a monster for simply existing." Ilara's artificial eye pulsed brighter as she spoke. "I realized then what I'd become part of. I sabotaged the facility, helped as many prisoners escape as I could, and disappeared with everything I knew about hegemony operations. Been fighting them ever since." Before Talon could respond, alarms blared throughout both vessels. They rushed to the bridge where Vera was staring at the long-range sensors in horror. "Hegemony signatures," she reported. "Not just Ravagers this time. They've brought a dreadnought." On the main screen, a massive warship emerged from faster-than-light travel, dwarfing even the Ravagers that flanked it. Nearly 2 kilometers in length, the dreadnought resembled a predatory creature distilled into metal and weaponry, all sharp angles and protruding weapon systems. "The Annihilator," Ilara whispered, her face pale. Drex's personal flagship. He's called in every marker. He has to bring that thing here. Can we outrun it? Talon asked. Ilara shook her head. Not with your ship in tow. The Stormbreaker could, but... Then go, Vera urged. Save yourself. You've done more than enough. That's not an option. Ilara activated her neural link to the Stormbreaker. I need to get back to my ship. Talon, continue on this heading at maximum sustainable speed. I'll buy you time. That's suicide, Kairos protested. Even your ship can't fight a dreadnought. Ilara's lips curved in a grim smile. I don't need to fight it. I just need to distract it. To Talon, she added, if I don't make it back, the Stormbreaker's navigation system has the coordinates to the sanctuary. The ship will recognize your biosignature now. It will let you take command if necessary. Minutes later, as Ilara prepared to transfer back to her vessel via the emergency shuttle, Talon gripped her arm. The touch caused a faint glow where their skin met, the natural energy of his species responding to the technology in hers. Why sacrifice everything for us? He asked softly. Because redemption isn't found in words, she replied. Only actions. Aboard the Hegemony dreadnought, Admiral Drex watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. Beside him stood Commander Vane, a towering human male whose right side was enhanced with the same circuitry patterns that marked Ilara's skin. Your former colleague is impressive, Drex remarked. 4 Ravagers disabled without a single fatality. Remarkable restraint. Restraint was always Reeves' weakness, Vane replied, his voice mechanically modulated. She never understood that victory requires absolute commitment. You're certain you can counter her techniques. She was the program's star pupil before her. Defection. Vane's enhanced eye, identical to Ilara's but red instead of blue, pulsed with cruel anticipation. I helped design those techniques, Admiral. And unlike Reeves, I've continued to evolve while she's been playing Resistance hero. The Stormbreaker detached from the Voidborn ship, positioning itself between the refugees and the approaching Hegemony fleet. Inside her cockpit, Ilara activated her full neural interface, her consciousness expanding through the ship's systems until the boundary between woman and machine blurred. Admiral Drex, she broadcast on an open channel. I see you brought friends. Feeling insecure after our last encounter. Drex's reptilian face appeared on her communication screen. Captain Reeves, your reputation has grown since your desertion. The human who betrayed her species to protect alien deviants. I didn't betray humanity. I remembered what it means to be human. Her fingers danced across control surfaces even as her implants communicated directly with the ship's tactical systems. Last chance to turn around and leave these people in peace. Peace? You've become a sentimentalist, Ilara. The Admiral's image shifted aside to reveal Commander Vane. Perhaps your old teammate can remind you of reality. Ilara's blood ran cold at the sight of the enhanced human. Vane, I thought you died when the lab exploded. Improved, not destroyed, he replied. Unlike you, I embraced what the program made me. You're still fighting your nature, trying to be human when we've evolved beyond that. Enough talk, Drex interrupted. Surrender the Voidborn, and perhaps the Hegemony will show mercy to a former officer. Ilara's response was to cut transmission and launch the first attack. The Stormbreaker accelerated toward the dreadnought at attack speed, unleashing a barrage of precision fire against the massive vessel's sensor arrays. Alarms blared as Hegemony countermeasures locked onto her ship. They're deploying fighter drones, she muttered to herself. Good. Focus on me, not the refugees. Dozens of automated combat drones swarmed from the dreadnought's launch bays. Individually, each was a formidable opponent. Together, they created a nearly impenetrable web of firepower. The Stormbreaker danced through the first wave, Ilara's enhanced reflexes allowing her to execute maneuvers no ordinary pilot could manage. But there were limits to what even she could do. A coordinated burst caught the Stormbreaker's port stabilizer, sending the ship into a controlled spin. Ilara compensated, but another hit followed, then another. They're predicting my patterns, she realized with growing dread. Vane is counter-programming. In the Dreadnought's command center, Vane stood inside a neural interface cradle similar to Ilara's, directing the fighter drones with the precision of a conductor leading an orchestra of destruction. Each time Ilara adapted, he anticipated, drawing on their shared training and his understanding of her techniques. She's good, he admitted to Drex as the battle unfolded, but predictable. Always trying to minimize casualties, even among enemies. That creates exploitable patterns. Meanwhile, the Starlight Wanderer had increased its distance, but not enough. 2 Ravagers broke from formation, accelerating on an intercept course toward the fleeing refugees. Ilara. Talon's panicked voice came through her comm system. 2 ships approaching from Vector 9. Ilara swore as she registered the tactical situation. She was fully engaged with the drones and couldn't break off to intercept the pursuit vessels. The Stormbreaker shuddered as another hit breached her secondary shields. "Reroute emergency power to your engines," she instructed. "Prepare to execute a random jump to these coordinates." She transmitted the data directly to their navigation system. "What about you?" Talon asked. "I'll find you. Now go." As the Starlight Wanderer prepared for its desperate escape, Ilara made a decision. Fighting defensively against Vane's tactics wasn't working. Time to remind him who had been the true innovator in the program. The Stormbreaker suddenly cut all external power signatures, appearing to drift dead in space. Fighter drones closed in, sensors seeking confirmation of their target's destruction. Inside her neural cradle, Ilara diverted all available power to the ship's experimental core, a technology she had stolen and modified from the hegemony's most classified research. The cockpit glowed with cascading energy as her implants interfaced directly with the power source. Pain lanced through her body as the connection deepened beyond safe parameters. Outside, the pursuing Ravagers were almost within weapons range of the Voidborn ship when the Stormbreaker flared back to life with blinding intensity. What happened next defied the laws of physics as understood by most species. The human vessel seemed to phase partially out of normal space, leaving a trail of quantum distortions as it accelerated from apparent standstill to attack velocity instantaneously. Before Vane could react, the Stormbreaker had bypassed the fighter screen entirely and was streaking toward the first pursuing Ravager. Instead of weapons fire, the human vessel emitted a concentrated pulse of the same energy that powered Ilara's implants. The pulse passed through the Ravager's shields as if they didn't exist, causing cascading system failures throughout the vessel. In the Dreadnought's command center, Vane staggered in his neural cradle. "Impossible," he gasped. "She's weaponized the quantum interface. The strain would kill any pilot." "Then stop her," Drex ordered. The second Ravager altered course to engage the Stormbreaker, but Ilara was already executing another impossible maneuver, her ship leaving phantasmal after-images as it phased between states of matter. The Voidborn ship seized the opportunity to initiate its jump to safety, disappearing from the battlefield in a flash of displaced energy. "No," Drex roared as he watched his prey escape. Ilara allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before confronting the remaining threat. The Stormbreaker was damaged, her own body near its breaking point from the strain of the enhanced interface. Blood trickled from her nose and ears as warnings flashed across her neural display. The quantum core was destabilizing. Continued use would be fatal. "Worth it," she whispered to herself. The Dreadnought turned its primary weapons toward her small vessel, preparing to obliterate the irritant that had cost them their quarry. Inside, Vane disconnected from his interface cradle. "Let me finish this personally," he told Drex, heading for the launch bay where his own enhanced fighter waited. Ilara detected the launch of a single ship from the Dreadnought, smaller than the automated drones, but emanating the same energy signature as her own vessel. Vane's personal fighter. Of course he would want this to be personal. "Come on then," she muttered, wiping blood from her face. "Let's end what we started." The two enhanced human vessels engaged in combat that resembled nothing so much as a dance of light and physics-defying movement. Where the Stormbreaker was sleek and agile, Vane's craft was angular and aggressive, sacrificing defense for raw offensive power. Both pilots pushed their neural interfaces beyond safe limits, their shared training evident in how they anticipated each other's tactics. "You could have been so much more, Ilara." Vane's voice came through a private channel. "We were meant to be the next stage of human evolution." Ilara's ship spiraled around a barrage of targeted energy beams. "Evolution without compassion isn't advancement, Vane. It's regression." Sentiment from the woman who once calculated casualty rates to 3 decimal places. He laughed coldly. "I watched the recordings of you after your little epiphany." The mighty Ilara Reeves, crying over an alien child. "That child showed me more humanity than I'd seen in years of hegemony service." The Stormbreaker shuddered as a glancing hit breached her primary shields. "She reminded me what we're supposed to stand for." Their ships locked in a deadly orbit around each other, weapons fire illuminating the void between them. Both vessels were taking damage now, their pilots pushing beyond normal human endurance through their technological enhancements. On the Dreadnought, Admiral Drex watched with clinical interest. "Fascinating," he remarked to his second-in-command. "Even damage. Reeves matches him move for move." "Sir," an officer interrupted. "Long-range sensors detect multiple vessels approaching from Sector 7. Hegemony reinforcements." "No, sir. Unknown configuration. They're moving in attack formation." Before Drex could process this new development, space seemed to fold around them, as over 24 ships of various designs dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their formation was ragged but purposeful, and each bore the same insignia: a stylized flame rising from darkness. "The Firebrand Resistance," Drex hissed. She was never alone. This was a trap. In the midst of their dogfight, Ilara and Vane both registered the new arrivals. A smile spread across Ilara's bloodied face as a familiar voice came through on a secure channel. "Sorry we're late to the party, Captain," said Commander Nasir, her oldest ally in the Resistance. "Got held up liberating a hegemony prison transport. Brought some friends who wanted to say thank you." The Resistance fleet engaged immediately, focusing fire on the Dreadnought's primary weapons arrays. Caught between this new threat and the continuing duel of enhanced pilots, Admiral Drex was forced to divide his attention. Vane's voice crackled with fury. "You planned this from the start." The Voidborn ship was bait. "Not bait," Ilara corrected. "The mission. The Resistance fleet is just insurance." Her hands flew across her controls as she executed a desperate maneuver, bringing the Stormbreaker into direct collision course with Vane's fighter. And speaking of insurance, at the last possible moment, Ilara activated her quantum interface one final time, pushing it beyond all safety protocols. Pain exploded behind her eyes as her consciousness merged completely with her ship's systems. For a brief impossible moment, the Stormbreaker existed simultaneously in multiple states of reality. Vane couldn't evade what he couldn't predict. The Stormbreaker passed partially through his vessel, their energy fields colliding in a catastrophic reaction. Both ships emerged from the encounter severely damaged, systems failing, pilots on the edge of consciousness. "How?" Vane gasped through the still open channel, blood streaming from his enhanced eye. "The calculations required." "I didn't calculate," Ilara replied weakly. "I felt it. That's what you never understood, Vane. Our humanity isn't our weakness, it's our strength." With the Dreadnought under concentrated attack from the Resistance fleet and his own vessel failing around him, Vane made the pragmatic choice. His fighter limped back toward the Hegemony flagship as Drex ordered a tactical retreat, abandoning the disabled Ravagers to their fate. As the massive Dreadnought vanished into faster-than-light travel, with Vane's damaged fighter barely making it into the launch bay, the Resistance vessels surrounded the wounded Stormbreaker. Medical teams transferred to assist Ilara, finding her barely conscious but smiling through bloodied lips. "The Voidborn." she whispered as they disconnected her from the neural interface. Safe, Commander Nasir assured her. They'd reached the coordinates you gave them. Our outpost has already made contact. Days later, in the hidden sanctuary colony where the Resistance had established a haven for those fleeing hegemony persecution, Ilara stood on an observation deck overlooking the settlement. Her body was recovering slowly, the neural damage from pushing her interface beyond limits requiring extensive regeneration therapy. But as she watched void-born children playing alongside humans and a dozen other species deemed deviant by the hegemony, she felt a sense of purpose stronger than any pain. Talon joined her at the viewpoint, his luminescence bright with health and hope. "The Council has voted unanimously to join your coalition," he said without preamble. "Our energy manipulation abilities could be valuable to your Resistance." "They certainly could," Ilara agreed. "But that's not why I saved your people." "I know." He placed his four-fingered hand over hers, that strange resonance between her technology and his biology creating a soft glow where they touched. "The children asked me to give you this." He handed her a small crystalline sculpture, clearly handmade. It depicted a humanoid figure standing in flames, one eye glowing brighter than the other. "The Firewalker," she recognized with a small smile. "They say you walked through fire to bring us home," Talon said softly. "Perhaps legends aren't just stories after all." Beyond the viewport, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the hegemony continued its crusade against difference. Vane and Drex would return, stronger and more determined than before. The war was far from over.